Let's go to Western Victoria, where farmers and landowners are up in arms about the Albanese government and the Allan government here in Victoria, up in arms about their plans to scar some of our best agricultural land with huge transmission towers to connect up new wind and solar projects to the grid. Joining me now to discuss this, a farmer from Charlton in the west of the state, Glenden Watts. Glenden, great to have your company again. When we last talked about these transmission lines, my phone line, my email lit up like a Christmas tree because people are really impacted, not just if their land is crossed, they're also concerned about their towns and communities. These towers will be put up without permission of owners. It'll be a compulsory acquisition. There'll be a whole lot of easement zones around them that will stop farmers like you from farming anywhere near the lines. But of course, there's also a big risk. The CFA, the Volunteer Fire Brigade in Victoria, says they're telling firefighters you can't do anything about a fire in and around these transmission lines. And we know in Black Saturday, we lost a lot of lives there. 5 of the big fires came from electrical lines. How concerned are people in your neck of the woods?
Absolutely incredibly concerned, Peter. I think you've summed it up. Black Saturday, doesn't matter who you talk to, everyone knows about it because it's devastation that it created, it caused, the lives lost, the homes lost. So if the project goes ahead, it's not a question of if we have these fire risks and the impacts, it'll be a matter of when. As you've said yourself, we're not allowed to go near them as I'm a CFA volunteer, and all the volunteers up there, we're being told, no, you don't go near the transmission lines. At best you stay 25 metres from the easement, which, is some 100 metres. But, you tell me, for those who've been on the fire ground, you're fighting a fire on the other side of town, helping your neighbour, whatever. Visibility might be 30 metres, 50 metres in a paddock or a farm that you've never been to before. So how, one, are we meant to know where that easement starts and stops? How, two, are we meant to know where it's safe and not safe to be in around these things? And then, if it is so that we have to stop and wait for the fire to move, well, what about the loss of life and the asset that's going to occur during that time of having to wait and let the fire pass the transmission line before we can continue to fight it? So it's just absolutely ludicrous. If we're not learned anything from the history of the past, the Royal Commission that took place, I just think it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was a clear recommendation of the Royal Commission into Black Saturday that they have underground cabling because, we use so much aerial firefighting now. You have these huge towers and it's a risk to the aircraft. But the government's ignoring its own recommendations. They're going through a consultation process, I know, with your community. That hasn't gone well. I'm told people are storming out from the meetings. It's not genuine consultation in Senada, I'm told. Police even had to be called. What's going on?
Yeah, look, I think you make a good point that, we're not allowed to use aircraft near the towers. For those who aren't up with it, the risk is arcing. You've got 540 kilovolts of electricity running above your head, and then you've got thick smoke, which is a really high conductor of electricity. So aircraft, private unit, CFA unit, doesn't matter who you are, it's not going to discriminate sort of thing. So these ag pilots, they say that they leave their proximity in which the pilot's allowed to fight near the fire, based up to their capabilities, I suppose. But their capabilities are exceptional. I've seen these guys spraying paddocks and they go under, the standard power lines that are 10 metres high, 200 k's an hour under there with their planes. So it's not that they've got limitations in their ability to fly, it's the risk they're potentially going to be impacted by. And they're a massive asset to us up there putting out fires. They're a big part of what helps us get on top of it really quickly. But with regards to the community consultation, I think consultation's a pretty poor word to explain how these events have transpired and gone. You make mention of St Arnaud. And look, St Arnaud was horribly disappointing. I wasn't there personally, but I've spoken to many who were. And TCV claimed that, there's been an assault and this sort of caper. Whereas in reality, based on the previous experience with St Arnaud, there was questions asked in the main town hall and TCV didn't have any amplifier, ability. So, there was the community members there who wanted answers and wanted to ask questions. One, they couldn't ask a question because they weren't heard, and those who did ask questions, they couldn't hear their response sort of thing. So the kerfuffle is that a young gentleman was trying to take, a microphone into the hall so that ensured that the voices could be heard, and a TCV hitting with putting security on the door. And then, the security guy and 3 TCV uniformed guys managed to knock this fella flat on his butt. with his microphone. Other locals came to his aid, stood up, and then everyone walked peacefully into the hall. And during that time, the panel at the front of the hall vacated at a rate of knots. The presenter said, "Look, guys, we're going to give it 10 minutes." That was the end of the conversation. TCB were gone. They never came back. They left the people of St Arnaud hanging. And not only St Arnaud, there's people who've travelled for hours to be at this meeting, to get their questions asked, to hear answers, to mitigate their concerns, the fear that they're fearing and feeling. And these guys didn't have the decency to come back into the room. They claimed that the Victoria Police said it was unsafe. That is absolute lies. I've spoken with the police who said, look, there was nothing unsafe. We never advised them of that. You guys are more than welcome to be vocal, but there was no issues with what took place in that room. So TCB continued to make accusations, continue to make claims, and you call it a consultation, but in all honesty, it's just a very vague response to try and pass it fast.
All right,
Absolutely.
Stay close to us on this, Glenden. A lot of my audience are really concerned because if it's not happening to them in Victoria, they know it's on the way in New South Wales and Queensland and everywhere else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.